the optimistic scenario here is that she's held hostage in Gaza and not dead on the street of the kibbutz where we grew up.
Multiple U.S. citizens remain missing in Israel days after Hamas launched a brutal surprise attack on the region, sparking a war that had already left 1,700 dead, including 14 Americans.
I want also to speak about the responsibility that the U.S. administration, President Biden, and the Secretary of State Blinken has for the lives of every U.S. citizen that is out there. And they are responsible to bring the U.S. citizens back home safe and sound.
While the total number of missing Americans is unclear, President Joe Biden said Monday Americans are likely among the more than 130 Israeli soldiers and civilians taken hostage by Hamas and other Palestinian militant groups.
There's still so many families desperately waiting to hear the fate of their loved ones, not knowing if they're alive or dead or hostages. Infants in their mother's arms, grandparents in wheelchairs, Holocaust survivors abducted and held hostage. So in this moment, we must be crystal clear. We stand with Israel. We stand with Israel. My team has been in near constant communication with our Israeli partners. We now know that American citizens are among those being held by Hamas. I've directed my team to share intelligence and deploy additional experts from across the United States government to consult with and advise Israeli counterparts on hostage recovery efforts. Because as president, I have no higher priority than the safety of Americans being held hostage around the world. Let me say again, to any country, any organization, anyone thinking of taking advantage of this situation, I have one word: don't. Don't.
Hamas has threatened to execute hostages being held in Gaza if Israel bombs Palestinian civilians without prior warning. Families of several of the missing Americans on Tuesday called on the Israeli government for more information about their loved ones and pushed for U.S. officials to take more action to secure their safe return.
My name is Liubi Chen. On behalf of Itai Chen, before starting, just wanting to ask all of you here, and thank you for coming, and all of those listening to us, please do not think of us only as a headline. We're more than that. I'm here with my family, my two sisters. We grew up in New York City. We like to say we are the proud outcome of the New York public education system. Still have family out in New Jersey, Long Island. And I'd like to talk about family before talking about Itai. Out of some twist of fate, we became family. In addition to us, we've identified about 10 other families like us that have a U.S. citizen missing. Okay? This family and my family is now missing. We have a missing person of our family. Within my family, I have, in addition to Itai, two sons. One of them, the youngest, Alon, is actually celebrating his bar mitzvah this weekend. The bar mitzvah, for those of you who do not know, is the ceremony where a young Jewish man becomes a man. And Itai, in order to be home this weekend, elected to be at his base previous weekend in order for us to celebrate the bar mitzvah as a whole, the whole family. We still hope that that celebration with my sisters and my family will happen in the near future. And I'm sure my friends here as well, or my new family, have additional, events happening that they also wish to have that wholeness of these events. So please, think of us not just as that headline, but we're people with families, and we want to be back families again. Itai, my son, joined the army about a year ago, He's in the armed corps. He was serving on the border of Gaza. The last time that we heard from him was Saturday morning, where he said that they were under attack. We know that he was active, that he was in communication for a while, but since then, silence. The formal indication that we received from the IDF is that he is defined as missing in action. What does that mean? It means that nobody since Saturday morning has been able to physically locate him, identify him, and say that he saw him. It also means that he's not in a hospital. It also means that he's not on the deceased list that has been identified. You would think it would be a good assumption to say that after 70 hours, if he's not in the state of Israel, he might be some other place. And if that is the case, then he is by definition a POW, US citizen, and Israeli citizen. And what we are asking for his captives and for the US government as well to ask from the captives Hamas is to treat him as a POW should be treated according to international law, meaning having someone visit him, have a doctor see him, have a UN Red Cross representative see him as well. And as said before, we want to be back, we want to go back to become family. We want this to end as soon as possible. Hopefully with your help, the people here will help us amplify this message to the US government, Secretary of State, that until now have been saying all of the right things, but we do, at least I, on behalf of my family, am asking the US not to take a backseat. The US has a lot of resources at its attention. It is able to do many things that can be different than what the Israeli government could do. And we are asking on behalf of my family for President Biden, where we are sure his heart is in the right place when it comes to Israel, and Secretary of State to do what they can to make this end for us as soon as possible to become family, whole again.